Yo, 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 what is up? We are back. I think it's been a couple days since we did an NBA
Too many
fantasy
days.
recap stream. Too many days. Any day is too many days, but we're back before the holiday week and weekend.
The
Thanksgiving.
holiday
Give
season.
me one NBA thing you're thankful for. And it's
Oh,
tough, right? Because K just went down with an injury, so
uh,
it's gonna be tough.
I'm thankful for parity
Hmm.
right now. I'm thankful for the bad teams being good and some good teams being meh. I'm thankful for yeah, a good
Yeah,
mix of teams right now.
I like that. I love that too because I think there's a lot of I think like the Webanyama or whatever I see it misspelled on
Sweepstakes.
Twitter all the time. Like I think that gets really blown out of proportion as far as like tanking goes. Because it's not the NFL, right? The worst team doesn't get the first overall pick. So I think it's got overblown, and then you just see the Jazz literally just at the top of that standings board, and you're like, yeah, it's not really a real thing early on in the season. So I'm thankful for
Yeah,
that we get to watch actually good NBA games, and it's not just here's six teams that are just going to lose every game by 30.
yeah, 100%. I already got a question. Valanciunas a drop? Instinctually, I want to say no. I mean,
We are
he's been
Valanciunas haters, I will say, but he
he,
he just can't be a drop, right? Anyone that's going
yeah.
to
I
give
mean,
you
he's been
10
bad.
plus,
Like,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna say like he's been bad. He's been like not anywhere near he was since he's been in New Orleans or even Memphis. Like he's been what he almost was like when he was playing less minutes in Toronto. But I mean, any decently big leagues, like a guy that's gonna be averaging close to a double double is pretty coveted, right? So,
Yeah, it's one of
oh,
those.
Barger's thankful for me. Thanks, Barger. I'm thankful for you too, buddy.
I'm kind of thankful for Kenyan too. You guys wouldn't want to just listen to
Kinda.
me sit here and talk. Kinda. Well, I don't know. I was kind of like hedging the bets that you weren't gonna reciprocate the thankfulness, so I was kind of like half spirited.
Barger was just checking in to see that I was actually streaming because I told him I couldn't hang out. Not
Oh
hang
dang.
out, but he knows.
He knows. No, I think. Yeah, I think just to kind of reiterate, I think the thing with Val, we get a lot of questions on if should I drop this guy? Is he a drop? And I think the biggest thing for me is like it's hard for me to believe you look at somebody on the waiver wire and think he is going to consistently outperform Valanciunas, like from a just pure fantasy
Yeah,
perspective.
1,000%.
So I think that's kind of something you have to ask yourself, like how realistic is it that this guy I'm going to pick up is going to be better than Val, and can I count on that?
Yeah, I think. I mean, he's going to be inconsistent. Like he's going to have those like 6 and 5 games, which really
Mm-hmm.
stink. But like I think season long, he will be around 13, 14, 10, and have the upside to be better.
Yeah.
But yeah, what he does like a season long average, you probably won't find on the waiver wires. So I would keep.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's really really tough at this recent stretch, but I mean, Zion's going to deal with injuries all season. They're going to have guys that are kind of in and out of the rotation. So, and two, I think kind of going back to I know the minutes is kind of a scary thing, right? You look at a guy who's I think he's averaging what like 23 on the season or something, 24 with just kind of the sporadic up and downs. But that's kind of what it's going to be like on the waiver wire. And even guys that are going to play more minutes consistently, like the production isn't going to be as consistent. So like right now he's at his floor of minutes, right? You're seeing like 20, 23 minutes. And these games where he has like 20 minutes, he's still almost getting you a double double in a lot of these
Yeah,
games. But I know I agree. He's frustrating. He was a guy we were really low on heading into the season. Not like I'm trying to tickle our own whistle or toot.
but
I like combining phrases. I think it's kind
pickle
of
our own whistle.
yeah, toot our own horn, whatever. No, just that.
Um,
I I think it was really tough to see him have a consistent role on this team, and I think when the minutes are dropped, that's where it's like real scary. Jokic has
yeah,
got stop the cap. Hey, yo, the reason we do, you should check the thumbnails. A lot of these are pretty clickbaity, right? So yeah, I think Jokic for sure. I think is
boys.
and I wanted to put it in there because who's the better hooper between you two? I don't know if we've had like a real like one on one, let's go where it's
I
like
think
pride is on the line.
I think Will's probably more naturally talented. I think I have the better body for basketball though.
Dang, that's true. It's a different game one on one. You know, definitely not
Yeah,
Canadian Canadian stings.
Will's more
Yeah,
talented.
we've there's a pretty harsh consensus in the chat. Appreciate
That
that, guys.
stink. Okay, buddy. I'm not. We're not arguing. We're not arguing over this right now.
But that was gonna be a thing back
Drake
on.
Drake E. Dupreme. Thanks for the comments though.
Yeah. That was the thing we were gonna do. Remember when we had
Yeah,
like a competition on our old channel? I'm not gonna shout out our old channel. Rest in
just
peace,
keep going. Just keep
the Ocean
going.
Pass. No. So we did like a contest and it was gonna be a 1-on-1 if we tied, but I smoked Canyon's ass, so wasn't a worry.
Whoa, what?
All right, let's get back into the fantasy NBA. Thoughts on John Collins? Yeah, Collins is he's gonna be like he's gonna kind of be, I don't want to say a nightmare this
Atlanta
season.
Hawks.
He's gonna have these games where what, like he gives you 6 and 6 in 33 minutes against the Sixers, and then he'll have a game where he's getting you like a double double with some defensive stats. So he's just one of those guys who's like, I don't even think he's just gonna be what he is. I don't think he's like a buy low. I don't think he's a. I mean, I guess like everyone is a buy or a sell at perceived value. So he's a guy I'd be fine moving for someone more consistent after some of these big blow up games that he's gonna have when he plays with Trey and DeJounte. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I think he could be one of those toxic guys that we talked about before, where it's like
Yeah,
just because the name you have him on your roster and you think he should be having better production, but even in like decent minutes, he's not doing much, and he's on the trading block for the Hawks. Like
yeah.
he could
It's
be
really
kind of
it's
like
really hard to trade like 30+ minute guys that can give you the production that Collins gives you. But I agree. I think I definitely, he's a guy who, there's like certain guys like Collins who, when you get these games or these like blow up game stretches, right, where he does get you 15+ points, he gets you the double double and some defensive stats. That's when I really look to like, hey, can I package Collins in a deal to get somebody more consistent? Because
yeah,
that's just
100%.
it's just going to be like that all season long, right? There's so much usage for Murray and Trey, and it's like it's appealing, right? Because it's like they're such good passers, but like that's not always going to benefit Collins. It's just not something you can rely on consistently.
Yeah. Should I trade Jordan Clarkson for Desmond Bain? I would 100% do that, honestly. I think I would
Yeah,
take Desmond Bain and Jordan Clarkson. I know the injury is a little scary, but like he should be back in a couple weeks. It's a toe injury. He's out for a couple weeks. Like it's nothing like super scary, right? So when he's back, I think it's something that shouldn't really heavily impact him. And even if it lingers, it's kind of a minor range of injury. So I love Bain way more than Clarkson, honestly.
yeah.
Clarkson's been
Clarkson's
balling,
been
obviously,
nuts. Yeah, but I think what's kind of interesting is like Clarkson's been balling out, but Bain is still. I mean, Bain's averaging 24 points on the season. Like I think that's pretty under the radar with the recent injury. So they're going to be really similar in kind of peripheral stats. They're both going to be like 3-4 rebound assist guys, like nothing too exciting. But yeah, I'd go Bain. He had such a hot start to the season. I'm not too worried. I know, like I think Bain, people might get a little scared. Bain might be a really good buy low because I think people are really scared of like, well, he did that without Jaren Jackson and he's back in the lineup and what's it going to look like for this team? But man, I'm just not worried. Bain is just, he's that good.
yeah, no, I don't think Jaren Jackson. Well, you've seen Jaren Jackson miss time last year and come back, and like you can see the splits last year. And Desmond Bain just is fine. Jaren Jackson's not like a crazy offensive usage guy. Like he had a couple
Mhm.
of good games this season so far, but like he's not going to be a consistent threat to usage when they're sharing the court. So I wouldn't worry about Jaren Jackson in that kind of decision.
Yeah. Pick up Sexton or Keegan Murray. Yeah, I'd go Murray. I think he has way more upside season long. I think like usually I tend to lean into, it's kind of tough because I think Sexton has upside too. But I think rookies naturally have more upside, right? You kind of we see closer to All-Star break, rest of the season, end of the season. They can see like huge production jumps, and I think they're like really comparable in current production. But Murray's just getting more consistent minutes than Sexton.
Yeah, I think as of now, I kind of feel like Sexton has a higher floor, but I agree. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot more room to grow for Murray. I think, he's getting more minutes. He's not gonna put up as many shots as Sexton, but he's a rookie, right? So we don't expect him to be super high octane offensively. I mean, yes, he was a top 5 pick, but that doesn't mean that the
yeah.
type of player he is doesn't demand a lot of attention. And they're clicking. The Kings depth is pretty big, but so is the Jazz. So I that's a tough one for me, honestly. They're pretty
Keegan,
comparable.
yeah, Murray's been a lot worse from a peripheral standpoint than I anticipated. Like I didn't think he was going to be like a monster rebound or anything, but in like pretty solid minutes, he's been pretty disappointing. So I think that's something that I
Yeah,
could see increase a little bit, not drastically. But it's kind of
I'd
tough
go,
because
I would go Keegan.
Yeah, I'd go Keegan. Like I think especially as like a waiver wire pickup, I think you're probably looking more for upside. And I would argue I kind of get it that I think Sexton has a safer floor because, rookie, right, obviously, and we've seen some pretty dud games from Murray,
Just
but
as far as production, like minutes wise, it doesn't make sense really. It doesn't
yeah.
sound like it makes sense to say he's got a safer floor because he bench plays less minutes more often. But like production wise and talent
Yeah,
wise, he gets on the court, like he's
if they
gonna,
played the same minutes, it would be Sexton in a heartbeat. Like if you
yeah.
told me Sexton was going to average 30 minutes for the rest of the season, it's not even close. And also, I'm trading for Sexton in every league, but we just haven't seen it.
Really. Gobert going to improve. Uh,
To hit this T Wolves team.
Improve. I mean, statistically, sure, his ceiling's not very high, right? Like
I
Gobert's never
mean,
been a guy that's like
I,
gonna give you 20 points a game, really.
yeah, it's
Like
kind of
so,
so. I think it's one of those things where like there's some things you can look at and see then and say, hey, there's going to be natural improvement, right? Like he's been a 2 block guy for what the past like 6 or 7 seasons. He's 1.5 right now. So like fantasy production wise, if you're in a points league, that actually is pretty drastic, right? Like the difference between 1.5
sure.
blocks and like 2.3 is pretty massive.
Yeah.
But the points, right? Points and rebounding, they're lower, but it's Gobert's never going to be like a 17 plus point guy. So I think
Yeah,
he's probably
especially on this offense.
yeah, he's kind of just going to be what he is. I think that the blocks can improve, but I think he's probably his highest ceiling for this team is probably like what we've seen for the Jazz the past couple seasons, right? 15 points per game and like 13 boards. That's probably what I
Yeah.
expect from him.
Yeah. So yeah, when I hear is Gobert gonna improve, I initially think like, well, this guy's ceiling is like 16,
Yeah.
14, 16, 15. And so he's at like 13, 12. It's like, sure, but like what are we asking for really, right? So yeah, the
Yeah.
blocks is a great thing to bring up. That's the biggest discrepancy for sure. So
Hmm.
ideally, yes, but I still wouldn't be shocked if it's like around 2 or under for the season just because he's on a new team and he's
Yeah.
with a high usage guy like Cat, also defensively a guy like Cat that gets involved as well. So it's a large difference sharing the floor with Cat next to him versus what he was doing with the Jazz.
Yeah. Jokic saw the title title ball out today. Yeah, I will say it is the Pistons. No, I'm not even trying to make a case for like Jokic. Jokic shouldn't be a top 3 guy. I just think that's a question we've kind of been getting a lot of like, what do I do with Jokic? Is he a buy low? You like, do you sell him for first round value or something? Just because he's had a pretty disappointing start to the season. But we can pull up some of these games right here and we can start. What's up?
If he didn't ball today, like that would be a big warning sign because
Yeah.
Bagley starting at the 5. Bagley starting at the 5. Like I like
Yeah.
Bagley offensively, but defensively, holy cow, he can be a liability. So
Right.
you're telling me Bagley's guarding Jokic. Good night, good luck. Like, so this is
Yeah.
a prime spot. So don't overreact to be like, oh,
Oh,
Jokic is back, number 1. Like he's
yeah.
the
But we're
guy.
not.
He's
I
not.
know.
He's not MVP. I'm not saying like he's back to being MVP. Like
Right.
his
Yeah.
usage is still kind of shaky, right? So this is a good spot for him. I'll say that.
Yeah, and I do want to say this. Like, I think Jokic is so like you're just comparing to previous seasons, and I know we talked about Jokic was still like really really solid for what was it, a year and a half ago, 2 years when he did have play games with KPJ and Murray as well. But I think for me, like with how disappointing Jokic has been, he's still top 10 in fantasy points per game. Like even with these dud games against the Blazers, disappointing scoring games, like yeah, he's not a guy who's like gonna fall out of the top 5 or anything. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I still,
especially.
yeah, it's Luka Giannis over him rest of the season, right? Like
Yeah,
that's where it's at. But I think the top 3 question, I think that's where it's a question, right? Heading into the season, the question wasn't Jokic top 3. The question was Jokic first overall. I don't even think about it in all leagues, right? So I think that has changed, but I don't think it's drastic enough where he's like out of the top 3 or anything, top 5.
Yep. Would you guys trade SGA, Bam, and Melton for Trey and Giannis? 9 cat, 12 team. Yes, I would. 100%
Yeah.
I would. Because I mean, if someone's wanting to buy Melton right now, and Harden should be back in a
Yeah,
couple
Melton's gonna fall
weeks,
off a cliff, and
Melton to fall off a cliff. Giannis is eons clear of Bam, and Shea, yeah, is having an insane season. But like the difference between Shea and Trey is so much closer than the difference between Giannis and Bam. right?
Yeah.
So you're getting like the you're giving up the 2 and 3 for probably for the 1 and 4. Maybe not. Like you can even make a case for Trey over Bam. But if you say it's a 2 and 3 for
Hmm.
1 and 4, that one that that gap in talent is far better that you're receiving. So I would definitely do that because
Yeah.
that mountain means nothing to me in 2 weeks.
Uh, yeah, I agree. Good chance of Garland actually averaging the 24 and 8 he is now. Yeah, it's I think so. I think that the usage with this team is
Yes.
going to be pretty consistently shared with these two guards. Like it feels very Trey and Murray to me. The way that these guys kind of operate, obviously with more scoring from Donovan Mitchell, but I think that's realistic because we
Yeah.
saw like stretches of I know Sexton, or sorry, I know Garland's big stretch
Oh,
came without a
careful.
lot of right, came without a lot of guards, right, for the Cavs, but um,
I think I think the points like probably will come down to like 20, 21.
yeah,
But like that's picking hairs, right? So I think he will be like a 20 plus and like 8-ish guy. I think that's kind of like what we expected. We expected probably assists to be just as good, but like maybe the points to fall off a little bit, but he's still getting so much usage alongside Mitchell, like, comparably to like what you said with DeJounte and Trey.
yeah,
But he's been super efficient in a lot of these games, like the 50-point game, the 40-point game. He's had some crazy efficient nights, which he'll continue to do. But I think law of averages, I think he should be back down closer to 20, 22. But like again, that's splitting hair. So yes, he'll be good.
yeah. Kawhi, man, Kawhi gonna end top 20. Also, what's up, fellas? Up, yay? How we doing? I just
Um,
can't. I can't.
on a
Kawhi,
per game basis, that's a different
I don't.
question.
Yeah, but I don't even know. It's tough, right? Because per game, we can say the per game things for Kawhi we want, but like if he's gonna play these games so sporadically and only play 20, 23 minutes, and I want to say yes, but man, I mean, what about what we've seen in these like limited stretch games makes you think that All Star break Kawhi is back to 30 minutes and is doing Kawhi stuff? I just can't. I can't do it.
Yeah, I would say no.
My guess would be per game closer to. It's so tough. So let's pull this up right now. Let's like when you say top 20, I mean De'Aaron Fox is 20th from points format per game, right? It's hard for me to
I
think
would say he's
that.
like 40, maybe.
Right. I mean, and when you get to you're getting to 40, you're getting to Jalen Brunson, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
that's like 23-6. Like
I mean,
I feel like
but
Kawhi managers would
defensively,
be so well, yeah, but I think Kawhi managers would be ecstatic if Kawhi could be a per game 23
yeah,
and 6 guy right now.
yeah.
So yeah, I think it's closer to 40 than it is 20. I think
Yeah.
John Collins will improve. We did a little bit about bit. We did a little thing about John Collins
We wrote it
earlier.
up and everything.
We did a sketch. It was pretty funny. No, he's going to be so sporadic. I think the will improve is really tough because he's had really solid games, but it's also just man, the scoring's just not going to be consistent this season, and even the rebounding numbers have been really sporadic too. So he's one of those guys where like he's kind of just he's going to be annoying to roster, but like I don't want to. He's a guy I would be very willing. We kind of landed on very willing to sell him high, quote unquote, when he has a stretch of good games because those will come right where he has a good scoring game and he's like 16 plus, double double, defensive stats. That's when I would sell him for a more consistent piece. I don't expect him to this season um, be consistent at all.
Yeah, no, I would. Yeah, I would look to. I was gonna say move him, but I would
Yeah,
be. I would keep an eye on him in the waivers because he is kind of. I think he's becoming that guy where it's like we talked about this earlier. The name John Collins. It's like no way I can drop him, but I don't like what I'm seeing. And I
yeah,
mean, he might get traded. He's on the trading block, which could be very
that's
helpful. But
true.
like,
Yeah,
yes, like he
you
has
want
out of all the
Collins to
waiver
be a
guys.
Piston?
No, I don't want to pay him.
Yeah, right.
We have all these waiver guys, that Collins surely has the talent and upside to producing that these waiver guys just can't. Right, that's the hard part.
Yeah,
But it's like I don't know. There's just a lot of guys there, a lot of usage there now with Hunter on the rise, both those guards.
Yeah. To to more
Kanglu.
specifically answer the question, because I know we tend to kind of like talk pretty generally about things. Like last 2 seasons, he's been like a 16, 17 point guy. I don't think he'll be that if he stays on the Hawks rest of the season. I think it'll be closer to 13, 14. I don't think we'll see a massive jump back to what he did the past 3 seasons for the Hawks.
Yeah.
Oh, I managed to sell Fox high for Tatum. I can't even tell if Fox is sell high anymore. Oh, I think Fox will be really good, but like,
It doesn't
I mean,
matter
for
'cause
Tatum,
win.
yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not Fox at his peak, like whatever that best Fox is this season. I mean, Tatum, you're not gonna be, you're never gonna be disappointed. Like I promise you.
That's a great trade for
Amazing,
you.
amazing. I'll just say this for people that are look at that and go like, no way that stuff would happen in my league. Like, just send offers out. If you're like, no one ever trades in my league, just try, right? Because a lot of people can be blinded by the box score.
Yeah, worst thing that can
I like to
happen is
call
your
it.
league makes text behind your back saying this guy sucks at trading.
I do
It's like,
that.
oh, I'm trying.
I
You
do
know?
that in my leagues.
Yeah,
But
everybody does. That's why
yeah,
I
but you
said
can't
it.
complain because yeah, we're happy about it. But you guys think Cade comes back? Yeah, so it's been the Cade stuff's been really weird. I don't know if you saw that clip of him like shooting
Yeah, I
around.
did. Yeah.
So like there was, the news right a couple days ago, the shin surgery for kind of the stress fracture. If it was going to be rest or surgery, which would probably look more like a season ender, or at least like really late into the season, which can be a season ender for these guys. But yeah, I don't know. Like we've always said we're not injury experts, so like that's the field that I am just looking at reports. Sometimes I'm able to base it off of previous injuries, but like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know some medical information about the healing process for resting a shin fracture or something. Um, but yeah, I think my best guess. I said this in a tweet earlier. I don't expect Cade to be back before the All-Star break. I know there's been some reports about like out indefinitely December. I don't think we see Cade play basketball in December, but yeah, I just have no idea because that was really weird for me. I was surprised to see him shooting around.
Yeah, it was just very contradicting to like the reports of like beat writers and stuff like that, right? It was just like,
Yeah,
borderline surgery out indefinitely, like this mystical report and kind of all signs pointing to it being bad, and then it's just like, oh, he's out there shooting, dribbling,
yeah,
basically like practicing. Okay, what's going on?
yeah. Should I offer Claxton for John Collins and attempt to buy low or no? So you're here with the resident Claxton fan.
Yeah, I like Claxton.
Canyon's a big Claxton guy.
Big Claxton guy.
I think that the kind of thing is though, isn't Claxton? I could see them being pretty identical, honestly, but I don't know. It's got to be Collins, right? Just for the upside that potentially a situation improves, and they're probably going to be pretty close as far as like overall production.
I'm bigger on Claxton, definitely. I think from what I'm seeing, they're very comparable. Like I think Claxton, which is crazy to me that Claxton could end up being very close to Collins in the points per game area. Rebound upside is much higher, block upside is much higher. And those numbers are being weighed down by a couple games they left early. So I like Claxton a lot. I mean when he's healthy, like he is the five for Brooklyn. There's not a lot of depth there, so they really need him and use him and play him a good amount. And so I don't know, with Simmons being, healthy and much better, honestly, we'll probably get to that later too. And Kyrie being back, I think only helps Claxton. But yeah, it's not even biased. Like there's a reason that I like Claxton more, and I stand by that. I kind of plant my flag on Claxton. So,
Yeah, my vote would be Collins slightly, but I really I don't know. I think those guys. I know it's going to sound surprising to people because perceptions heading into the season, Collins obviously would go rounds ahead of wherever Claxton went in your draft if he went. So I get that, but I think it's pretty even. But I would go Collins. I think for sure. I think Collins has more upside to be better, and there's like that tiny percent chance that he is moved, and he is way better.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yep.
It's really hard for people to resist recency bias. Yeah, and I think the thing is NBA is a really long fantasy game, right? We're playing the long game. Everyone that's played a fantasy league knows that, but still, even with that, games happen so frequently that perceptions can change super quick, right? You get a three
Oh
game
yeah,
stretch of
yeah.
somebody, and it's like, well, this is the new normal. This guy's just going to do this. Like heading on, we've seen it 3 games.
Ben Simmons.
Um, Ben Simmons, yeah. Is Mathurin a drop to stream points league? I would think you could trade him. I know you're trying to stream, and I know it gets kind of funky with like trading to stream, but man, is Mathurin really the worst player in your team in a points league?
Well, I get it in points league, right? He's pretty meh peripheral wise. Like
Yeah,
you're relying on him to continue to be this outstanding, rookie for the start of the season
yeah.
as far as points go. Like you need him to be 20 or higher with the peripherals and the defense that like the lack thereof, I should say. Like you
Mhm.
need him to be in the 20s pretty consistently for him to be a worthwhile, roster person,
Yeah,
which he kind of has been.
yeah. He's averaging
But
19
still,
this season. Yeah.
yeah, I would like to think that there's probably not anybody better to slot him out of there. You could probably trade him.
Yeah, it gets really tough, right? These like borderline points league guys for streaming because I don't want to tell anyone to drop Matherin, but if he really is the worst player on your team, and if it's a pretty shallow league and you're kind of put in a spot where you're really limiting yourself if you don't drop your worst player, but I really don't want to. But the answer is probably yes if it's actually your worst player and you need to stream. What are your approaches? Oh, yo, totally missed this. Yo, what's up, Mike? Thank you. Thanks, boys. Yo, for sure. Appreciate the super chat. One more. Lowry, SGA for Trey and Grant. I think this is like pretty fair.
I like the Lowry SGA side, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's
More.
pretty fair. It's pretty fair. I think Shea obviously has been insane. I think you would probably. I think we both would give the lean to Shea. Um, And then honestly, like I know it's gonna sound weird because I think people's perception of Grant is way higher than Lowry, but they've been pretty close. Points league fantasy
Oh, I
production.
know.
I want to say they're like neck and neck. I'll pull this up and fact check myself.
Oh, Lowry's been awesome.
Yeah,
Like
he's
I in a
67th. Yeah,
triple
Grant's
double.
69th. They're like neck and neck in points league fantasy points per game.
When's the last time you had a triple double before that Wizards game? Let's see.
You'd rather have would you rather have Grant rest of the season in a points league than Lowry though?
I don't, dude. Lowry just fills the stat sheet. If he's
I
playing like
know.
this, definitely Lowry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Lowry.
Okay.
I like Lowry. I like what he's been doing. It's not like a small sample size. Like he's been
That's true. Yeah, and
pretty
it's
good
you
in
don't
almost all
expect
of the
like a
teams and
weird drop off or anything. Um
like a ton of
yo
minutes.
yo, what is up? Philaz Kanok. I should just not say the name if it's gonna be like that, my bad. What are your approaches to fantasy? Do you guys believe more in top heavy talent or overall team depth? I'll go first. Kenny, let me know if you think differently. I think generally when we get trade questions and we're talking about team roster construction and everything, our big thing is the smaller the league, the more willing we are to sacrifice depth to get the best piece in the trade. So we lean more top heavy in smaller leagues because your replacement level. So when I say replacement level, it's I'm doing a 2-for-1. I'm trading Murray and Jeremy Grant for John Morant. And it's like, okay, well you're giving two players you would start pretty consistently, but you're getting the best piece in the trade. And you're going to play Kyle Lowry instead of Jeremy Grant. Like, well, okay, yeah, that's totally fine. Like you've got really good depth. It's a shallow league. So that's kind of what I would say as a general rule.
Yeah.
Because fantasy basketball is weird. You want to have the studs, right? But I mean, you have to put together a roster depending on your league, and but yeah, you kind of agree overall, right? We tend to
Yeah.
kind of lean
Yeah,
the
definitely.
stud in the smaller league. That's kind of just a
Yeah.
general rule, but obviously if you have
I,
any specific questions.
yeah, I would say 8 to 10 leagues. Even 10 leagues, I'd say I'd probably still try to go for top heavy. But once you get to like 12 and on, those fringe guys are so impactful because those are the guys that are like,
Yeah.
just how it comes down to as far as the amount of players in the pool when you're at 12 and beyond leagues is those guys that are at the end of your bench or waiver wire ads. Those are the guys that are really starting to thread the needle on minutes and usage is like those are the guys that are inconsistent in minutes. You have an 8-team, 10 league, 8-team league, 10-team league. No matter what, it's like most people have a guy. Almost every team has a guy on their team that's going to play 30 plus minutes and have a certain percentage of usage or higher. When you get to 12 league teams, it's like everybody now has 1 to 2 players that are like, it's like, is this guy going to play 24 minutes? Am I banking on like an injury, capitalizing off an injury with this streamer? So I think 8 to 10, yeah, you go to more top heavy because it's easier to kind of replace those players at the end. Whereas 12 league teams, your streaming is a lot more limited.
Yeah, 100%. Is Poku worth a hold in 10-team points league? Ooh, 10-team. I want to say no in a 10-team. Yeah. And that's
I'm on the fringe in a 12-team.
Right.
So
I'm thinking of my 12-team, the locked on bowl. I've got Poku. I have an IL spot, so I'm holding Poku there, but he is like he's one of my first drop candidates. I like Poku though. I mean, he's had these like games. I know it's been a little sporadic, and you kind of expect that with OKC when they're fully healthy, that the minutes will be a little up and down. But I mean, he's been pretty nice, man. Defensive stats have been really, really solid, and he's actually been scoring pretty decently. But yeah, I think he's probably, if somebody told me they had Poku in a 10-team league, I'd assume he's their worst player.
Yeah, I agree. I think do you think it's a good trade, Unicorn for DeJounte Murray? I mean, if you're getting DeJounte Murray on that, then yes, I would rather have DeJounte. I mean, KP's been great this year, but I would rather have DeJounte Murray still.
Is he going to lose the Unicorn title when Victor comes?
Yeah. Well, I think it was a Giannis interview. He had that long interview with Serge Ibaka. I think it was part of that where he was talking about how like they're just, they mentioned like Unicorn for Wembanyama, and Giannis is like, well, everybody's a unicorn all of a sudden. Like anybody that is above 6'11" that can dribble is also.
Yeah, KD's a unicorn.
Kind of diluted. He said KD or Cade?
KD. Well, Cade too. Cade's my special little unicorn. All right.
Yeah.
Should I be concerned with Lillard getting injured so often? Not sure if I should wait for him to play a few good games after he comes back from injury and just trade him. Yeah, man. NBA fantasy stuff is really tough with injuries. I think it's like the lingering stuff I totally get, right? If it's a nagging, reoccurring injury that you can kind of anticipate being like a long-term thing.
Yeah.
I love Dame though.
I would say you could try shopping him, because I think if you're in that mindset like that, you're worried about it, he's injured, like if you're not confident in it, you could try to shop him, because I guarantee you that there's league mates that are seeing the same scenario on the flip side of like, Lillard's been injured, but I would love to have him. And so it's like, I want to buy low on him.
Yeah.
But, see what you can get for him, because there's probably other people that think they're capitalizing on this injury opportunity. And so depending on what you think you can get for him, two parties that agree might make a trade.
Would you, cause like you could probably trade Dame for a lot of guys that are kind of close to him in production. Like, right. Like Fox or I know this scares you. Would you do Dame for Kyrie now that he's back?
No, I would not.
Okay.
I think Dame's lingering injury history versus Kyrie's lingering,
all right, we can move on fast.
Just yeah.
All right. My bad.
Controversy.
That's on me. That's on me for bringing it up. That's on me.
That's all right.
Appreciate that, guys. Really good stuff. Now I feel better selling on my depth of the 12 team to have Curry. Oh, dude, Curry, KD, Giannis, and Tatum now. That's nasty.
I mean,
dude, the thing with that too is like, even if your like depth around that is awful, one, it probably doesn't matter, but two, you can sell Curry for 3 top 60 players or like one of those guys. So you're in a good spot. It's really hard. I mean, think about it. How many leagues, fantasy leagues in general, I don't care the number of teams, how many leagues has somebody successfully been able to do 2 or 3 for 1 trades for your studs? Like, I don't even care the format. Like, just think about that for a second. So I know we talk about preferring depth in like larger leagues, but man, it's still hard to make those trades happen. So I don't hate that at all. Also, that team's just crazy. D-Fox went crazy for me today. Yes, sir. Glad to see Jokic back as well. Yes, sir. KD also decent for me today. Booker's disappointing so far. I'll be picks up second half for sure. Yeah, Jokic. Yeah, I think Jokic will be better than he's been to start the season. Like his disappointing fantasy start, which keep in mind he's still top 10 in fantasy points per game. His disappointing starts came with some real dud games. Like that, what was that? That Blazers like 8-point game. He had another, I think he had another like fewer than 10-point game. Jokic. He had an 8-point game against the Bulls. This last one that was like a 14 assist game.
Like quite a few that were under 10.
Yeah. So I think it's like, man, Jokic, disappointing Jokic is averaging like 20, is going to average 20, 10, and 8, which is like still going to be a top 8 fantasy player or a top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about Jokic. Melton, Char, and Conley.
How the heck are the Pistons up 11? What is going on?
Dude, how is this? Okay, so I will say
8 for 11 right now. Dude, why are you wasting your good...
No. This is, dude, we are positioning Knox for the trade.
Yeah, we're trying to sell high on Knox right now.
Disney said he doesn't want to be a Piston. It's fine.
I don't want him to be a Piston. Prior to him saying that. Anyway. There's something else. The owner of Bane just accepted my trade for Jordan Clarkson for Bane. Good work. I like that for you.
Nice.
Melton, Conchar, and Conley on waivers. Who would you prioritize getting in a points league? Thanks, fellas. Probably Mike Conley. Actually, definitely Mike Conley. Melton's gonna fall off when Harden goes back. Conchar, the Grizzlies are pretty healthy right now, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't love him long term either. He's had a couple like good games in the last couple games here, but I don't like him long term. I think Conley's probably your best bet.
Does that change at all if like he's not worried about long term as much? I'm assuming he wants long term, but
I think I still like Conley. I think getting a guy that
I think they'll be close.
7 to 10 assists off the waivers is pretty nuts.
Yeah. Kawhi has made me upset. I'm still holding on to him because he doesn't pay to just drop him. I know this will take him. Yeah, he is. Right, like the thing I want to say is like sell him when he has a good game, but like no one's falling for that, and 2, if he's just gonna like play 22 minutes, man, you're not gonna get a Kawhi blow up game. So it's tough. Kawhi is just he's been pretty just disappointing, man, and it's tough because you just hate when injuries are such a big part of that. But
yeah, I also just wouldn't drop him.
Yeah, so. Just pray you have an IL spot that you can just keep throwing them down in. Hopefully, I guess you shouldn't pray that. I think you either have it or you don't. I pray for you for that. How do you feel about Jordan Poole? Debating about selling him, but it's a tough spot. Yeah, man.
I kind of like keeping him. I think the Clay big game isn't going to be enough, like a regular occurrence. Peripheral wise, he had a tough game last game. I don't think he had any peripherals. But like peripheral wise will get you like 4 to 5 assists.
It's all relative, right? So whenever we talk about like I'd hold him or I would not like to sell him, like your league's better than us. So like if you think after like a good Pool game, like one of those games, what do you have like 36 in the Spurs game? He had 26 against the Pelicans too. I know no peripherals, but you get one of these games where he gets you decent assist numbers, defensive stat, and solid scoring, like, and you think you can sell him, I'd be fine with that. I'm not like terrified, but I don't think we're gonna see the like Pool breakout when Clay and Curry are healthy that we were hoping for.
Yeah. Thoughts on the Melo shutdown and injury risk? I mean, that's really annoying that he reacted.
Yeah, he's just, it's so tough too because we saw like, dude, the volume. I know like the like scoring didn't look amazing, right? Because if you just like are looking at the box score, but dude, these 3 games.
Because I said it also wasn't awful because he has such high volume.
I know. It's like, dude, the LaMelo breakout. Like right now, if you just looked at his stats compared to last season, he's like right neck and neck as far as like scoring, assists, and then like whatever three games he had bad rebounding games, whatever. But dude, 9, 15, and 8 threes, 17, 19, 17 field goals, dude. Field goal attempts, like that's LaMelo breakout. So it's just so disappointing, but yeah, injuries are just one of those like aspect of fantasy basketball that are just like, I don't know, man. It just sucks.
I mean, I still have a pretty like high hopes for him this season.
Yeah.
I hope he comes back sooner than later, obviously. But
Right. Yeah. I got off
so
track a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I think that's.
so my thoughts are I'm keeping him obviously, and I'm just you know eager at his return because I think he will still be. I still think he can come back and be a baller. Like
Baller.
I don't think like him being injured is like he's done for the season. It's just gonna take a little bit for him to get healthy, and then once he's back, I'm happy. I'm excited. Um, what to do with CP3? I think you might be able to shop CP3. Honestly, I think you can get people like who were talking about
Name
this.
value.
Yeah, name value. Another person, I don't remember who it was, but like, oh, Dame Lillard, right?
Yeah.
Another person that's been injured and that you're probably frustrated with, and I understand that, but I think you could, see what you can get for him, and because I think people are gonna have the opposite mindset of what you might have right now, your league mates, and be like, man, I could get Chris Paul for a deal right now,
Yeah.
and just
I'd wait
up
till he's
for
back.
him. Yeah, he came back. No, he didn't come back tonight. I think.
No, he's out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
think season long, like you can kind of like not see it coming, but man, the volume's been pretty low, and he's not seeing he saw the drop off in scoring last season, which I know I think a lot of people thought we were gonna get to see that rise back a little bit, but yeah, I think
I
he's
was
gonna be
hoping
the
for that
same
too.
peripherals with just like not good scoring at all.
Which is also fine,
Yeah,
right? If he's
yeah, he
back
has
and he's just
value.
dropping, if he's just dropping 10 to 12 assists, like that's like I'm not mad. I got what I'm expecting that, right? Give me 12, 6, and 12 all day.
Yeah. Bam and JJJ for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I do.
Um, I don't love Bam to be like crazy better than what he's been doing as of late.
Hmm.
Jaren Jackson, I think, is probably so high.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
he's gonna. I mean, he's gonna have these games. He had these games last season where he averaged 16 points, right? Where it was like, wow, he came out and had a 25, 30 bomb, and then
well,
it's the Josh show, and he has 12.
yeah,
So
yeah, Ja being out or injured helped a little bit too, but
right, yeah,
yeah,
I
I
think
think Donovan Mitchell long term is just such a high floor with also a decent ceiling.
yeah. If you're not in like, and I don't even think it's. I know we tend to cop out at the like. All right,
That's in the league, yeah,
is an 18 league 10 team? I think I like this in pretty much everything because
yeah,
I think it would you'd be hard pressed to be like disappointed end of season with like Donovan Mitchell versus
yeah,
Bam and Jaren Jackson.
100%.
Chelsea Keldon was at minus 13 at one point in that Laker game. Shake my head, they go get back to how we started the season. I mean, the usage and opportunity is going to be there. So if you're talking on like fantasy production, I'm not worried. Um, but yeah, I don't know, Kenny. We're probably the same way. I mean, it was just like pretty awful. He was 4 for 20 in that game, 1 for 10 from three. It was just one of those games.
I I
I'm
was I didn't know if he was talking about my. I think he's no, he wasn't. I thought he was talking about minus 13 as in like plus minus in the game. That's what my head went to.
Yeah,
But I
no,
thought
same here.
that's it.
That's why I gave the fantasy thing of like I'm not worried about him. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
big. Are you big plus minus guy?
Um, a little bit. Uh, but it's tough for me because I like plus minus. Like I like it's one thing to like watch a game and then look at plus minus, but oh okay.
Yeah,
And it's also another thing because the rotations come more or less in units, right? So rotations are like 3 to 5 per, and so you can have a poor plus minus, but be surrounded by you know a meh roster. Like last year, Kate had a pretty poor plus minus. That's because the Pistons as a unit, as a team, were just not as talented as the guys they came up against, right? So they were losing games by 8, 9, 10, whatever. And so at the end of the day, K's plus minus was like minus 12. And it's like, oh, look at K's plus minus. It's like, yeah, no duh. Like we lost by 10. And there's a couple stints out there where he came on with the
oh,
likes
okay.
of, you know,
All right.
X, Y, and Z. And
Yeah. Are you in a league? Are you in a league where it's like negative points for field goal attempts?
Right now, no. I've been in one.
I
I
think
don't
I
love
think
it.
that's what VA is saying, because he was
Oh,
4 for 21 for 10 from 3.
uh,
Okay, gotcha.
okay, that makes sense. I'm not in one right now, but that
We
makes
get a lot of
total
questions that are like NBA questions alongside fantasy stuff. So like when I see like minus 13 or something, I don't play in like negative points for field goal attempts or anything. So my mind went to plus minus. Because I was gonna
yeah, that was
say, I was like, hey, I think he did have the worst plus minus on the team, but that just makes sense if he shoots 4 for 20 and is 1 for 10. Like his minutes were probably
yeah.
not great for plus
Yeah,
plus
my mind went
minus
to that
tracker.
too, and then we just had like a large tangent that just means nothing because he's just sitting there like, guys, I'm not talking about
I'd
this.
feel worse if there was a
You know?
question below that, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, okay, yes, to kind of piggyback what you were initially saying, get back on track here. Uh, yeah, it stinks, but also like that's gonna happen to any player in the league, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have just bad nights, and I think the bright side of it is he shot the ball 20 times a game. He's shooting the ball a lot,
Yeah.
and the efficiency it'll come back. He's just like everybody has a tough stretch. Like I think he's 5 for 15
Yeah.
the night before, so it's gonna happen.
Right. I mean,
Especially at
he's
the
a
guard position.
39% 3 point shooter on the season, right? That 1 for 10 game is just an awful anomaly. And, he's 42% on the
Right.
season. And obviously, that's a little bit of a nod to like a huge uptick in overall volume. But still, I mean, I think the volume will make up for that a little bit. So, yeah, that was just one of
Yeah.
those like awful games. And I know those tend to overshadow the decent games because, like, especially in those leagues where you're like, man, Keldon, like you're hurting me more than you're helping me with like just the awful shooting. But yes, sir,
Yeah.
ESPN
And
league might be
naturally,
should have stated that. Thanks. Oh no, no worries,
I
no
mean,
worries.
naturally too, our heads like to remember the poor things than the good things, right? So he's shooting like
Dang.
40-ish, over 40% on the season, I think, which is great, right? Fine, I guess.
Yeah, for a
And
3 point
so
shooter guy, yeah,
yeah,
it's
so
all right.
for those 4 and 20 games, 5 and 15 games, it stinks. But remember the 12 for 20 games, the 8 for
Dang.
14 games, 9 for 17 games. Keep your head up, keep your head up, King.
Yeah, I
All
like
right,
that. I like
hey,
that.
it's gonna be okay. I promise.
Would you consider AD a sell high right now? Oh, I think AD is perpetually a sell high because of the injury. He's
He went
been
down in this game too, just now tonight. Went down and grabbed his arm, was
if
screaming a
if
little.
you have AD
He's
on
back in
fantasy
though.
league and you watch these games, man, I swear I've yet to watch a Lakers game where AD hasn't grabbed his back, looked like he was trotting up the floor a little slow,
Yeah,
had some moment in pain, and I'm not trying to rag on guys for injuries because it sucks, man. Like injuries suck, but AD's one of those guys where it's like you would be stunned if heading into next season we're like, man, AD was pretty healthy last year. Like at this point, it's just the track record, what we've already seen this season. So yeah, I think he's for sure a sell
yeah,
high. Him for Embiid, I don't think you could make that happen. If you
no,
can, please brag about it in the chat. I would love to see that. But I would do AD plus a piece for Embiid. If you could do one of those, you give the second and third best player for Embiid and the fourth best. I would do that in a heartbeat.
yeah. Would you do Would you do AD for Sabonis?
Probably.
Tough
I don't
one.
want to. I want to get a plus. But I get that's not the question.
Yeah,
You're a big Saboner guy, dude.
beam team.
Sabonis been better than
All
Cat this
over.
year.
I'm all over the beam team, dude.
I know it's not
Love him.
saying much because Cat's been pretty disappointing, but he's been like a top 20-ish guy.
Yeah,
Um, it's
yeah.
so tough though
Well,
because I think AD is one
it
of
is
those guys where you actually might be able to do one of those wonky trades because he's like seventh in points per game
I
because
know.
when he plays,
I actually, I kind of like AD this season. I'm not gonna lie, but I
yeah,
totally agree with you on the injury thing. He always feels like a sell high, but he's been playing a lot more than we expected, a lot more
yeah,
than we've seen in the last couple of years. And yes, it's always going to be, annoying watching him. And you're always grimacing. You're always waiting for him to grab something or maybe eventually go down. But he has been unbelievable.
I
You guys catch
totally
it too,
agree.
but, like, I
I,
love AD this year so
I
far.
totally agree. 100%. We're in the same boat. We're saying the same thing, but my brain is so into the mitigating risk where obviously injuries can happen to
Win
anybody.
your league. What are you trying to do? Come in fifth? Boo.
All right. We've got AD on some underdog fantasy best ball league, so it's fine. I'm rooting for it. But no, I think like okay, so AD for Sabonis is one of those where like you would probably rather do AD for somebody closer to like top 15 than top 20, obviously. But man, if I could do Sabonis and like a piece that's worthwhile to me, I would do that for sure. Just because the fall off on a per game basis is going to be drastic, right? AD's been amazing per game. But for me, it's just when I look at the end of the season, it's hard for me to believe that like Sabonis doesn't beat AD by a decent amount of games played.
Yeah. And also, I mean, Kings making a playoff push. Lakers looking really bad. You know, you get 3/4 of the way through the season. They rest
Shut down AD
for a month. Is that surprising? Probably not.
I get that. I'm really targeting Embiid and Shea. It's been some intense. I would love to make either of those happen. I think we've had this kind of long conversation about, oh, would you do Sabonis? What does this look like? We love AD. Kanan, you would do AD plus random 90th per game player for either of those guys in a heartbeat. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. They're like, those are two guys that are been better than AD per game. And I know Embiid has his own injury kind of questions and risks as well. And we've already seen that a little bit, but still, I mean, AD is definitely the biggest.
Find your local Lakers fan in your league or your Kentucky fan in your league and try to make it happen.
No, I think that's one that you don't because they watch the Lakers games. You find the guy that doesn't watch Embiid or AD grimacing in these games and grabbing his back. Find the box score watcher.
Find the casual. Yeah.
Yeah, that's who you
probably are.
It's actually true though. I know a lot of you guys like, you know, we're in some kind of like whatever, you know, money leagues and best ball drafts and everything, but we're in a lot of home leagues too. And there's a lot of times where it's just like you kind of know your leagues and you're like, well, shoot, I can turn AD into Embiid with a little plus on my side. So 100%.
Every time, you know, there's a couple guys in my league right now. They're big Bucks fans, Pacers fans, or even like Indiana University fans. If I get someone, like I remember a couple years back, I had Oladipo for the Pacers, and I drafted him, and I was like, oh, this guy is all of a sudden double this stock because there's a buddy that's a Pacers fan and an IU fan. You can take advantage of that sometimes. It doesn't hurt to, especially if you know the boys, you know, just shop around, give them some banter, get that guy out of there.
We're all about taking advantage of the boys.
Play the man.
For sure. Well, all right. Let us know if there's any questions in the chat. We're coming up on an hour here. We'll probably wrap up. It was only a four game slate tonight, so I know we didn't spend a ton of time kind of going through game by game. But
are they gonna soil it? Up 5. Jeez. Can we talk about Ben Simmons to wrap it up a little bit?
Let's do it. You want to do a little Pistons? Let's do a little Pistons convo. Because I think we talked.
Really care.
No, I think, dude, let's talk about Burks for a second, man. Burks has just been a bucket, and no Cade, man. I think if you're gonna get people, it's so funny too, because Burks these 3 games, it's been more than 3, right? 5 games, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull this up. His like per minute scoring is insane.
Yeah,
15 points.
Clippers game, but yeah.
Right, yeah, that was 18
so
minutes.
Give us,
didn't shoot a lot.
Yeah, give us a stat and then also tell us that there's something weighing that down even.
Right, yeah, exactly.
If you have that, but yeah.
No, I think he's been pretty crazy. Obviously he's not giving you a ton on the peripheral end. But man, I mean, he's one of those guys who just should be rostered or in deep leagues for sure.
Yeah, at least for, like as a Pistons fan, getting Burks like, okay, here's a veteran guard that can come off the bench and be a good spark.
Get a bucket.
I didn't think he was going to be putting up the same amount of points as he had minutes, right? Like, that's wonderful. So yeah, I mean, Cade will be out for a while, if not for a long time, and so I think Burks should definitely be on people's radars.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm gonna close this out. Let's answer some questions, and we'll close it out here. Hey guys, why is Keegan Murray being a bum? Yo, what's up, Brown Boy? I think here's something I want to say. All right, and we did the spiel a little bit. most rookie seasons are closer to Jabari Smith's, and I mean, I don't even want to say like, honestly, they're closer to Keegan Murray and Jabari Smith's than they are to Banchero, right? I think that's kind of like when you compare Keegan Murray and Jabari Smith to Banchero, it's like, why I don't even want to roster these guys.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Dang. But with that being said, like, I'm not saying, all right, he's going to turn around next week. He's a rookie. He just needs a couple more games. It's more of like, yeah, he's a rookie, going to be inconsistent, going to have dud games. But typically around the All-Star break, for like talents you believe in, that's when we see that come into fruition, right? And we usually reference like thinking about Cade's start last season. I mean, number one overall pick, like the expectation was he was going to smash in Detroit, put in that role. And he had a pretty shaky start, but we saw insane numbers on the stretch. Oh gosh, should I drop Keegan and pick up Jabari? I just saw that. I mean, that's just, I mean
honestly, you say oh gosh, but I don't listen. What I was gonna say that another factor is for Keegan, the Kings are very deep. Like they're running very deep right now, and they have a lot of impact players off the bench like Herter, Terrence Davis.
I'd rather have Jabari. I think the minutes are just going to be more consistent, and it's kind of funny because I think you could argue the Rockets are kind of deep too, but I think we just have seen more consistent minutes from Jabari. So I think and honestly, I believe in both the talents. So it's not even one of those things. I think Jabari has shown in spurts what you expect from him. So I'm not expecting him to be like a stud the rest of the way. But he just had like 22 in this last game, right? We had 22, 3 for 9 from 3, 7 boards. Like I think somewhere along the lines of like 15 points and like 7 boards, I could see Jabari averaging that this season.
Yeah,
I'd go Jabari.
Again, I can't stress it enough. Like it's the first half of the season for a rookie, and it's okay for them to have a slow start. Like we saw Cade have a not maybe this slow, but like a pretty slow start till the first half of last season and popped off in the second half of the season. And I think Jabari can do the same thing. You talk about his consistent minutes. I think he also has a better chance at consistent usage, right? I think he can get more shots up more often for that team.
Yeah, and I do want to say before we move on here, I will call out that if you've watched Jabari and honestly a couple of these rookies, he has looked pretty lost in some of these spots. But I also want to say I think he has looked better. And I mean, he's a rookie, right? Rookies are just going to look lost. Exactly, yeah. All right, last one. Would you do Capella and Terry and Simmons for PG-13?
Jeez.
I think you're giving up too much. I don't know.
I like Paul George though.
I do too, but
Rozier is nice though, as long as LaMelo's out. Ben Simmons is on a nice little rise.
I think it's one of those like if you have no worries about your depth of your team after doing that trade, I would do it. But I just assume that it's going to hurt you, and you're going to be like, all right, I got to pick up 2 guys off the waivers who are now going to be like my bench guys for the rest of the season.
Definitely, I would. Accept that transaction in your head. Look at your team. That okay, I have Paul George here. These are my 2 guys, and fill those guys in. If those guys are like drop guys, then I probably would.
Yeah.
Feels great to be a Simmons owner after getting him the 7th. Patience paid off. Yes, sir. I'm with you on that, Dylan.
100%. Dude, people were asking us if you should drop Ben Simmons in like 12-team leagues, and it was like, man, how can you drop a guy who like can literally give you a double-double and give you like 6 plus both peripherals? I don't care about the scoring.
Yes, I love it. Should I drop you? Okay, that from the beginning of the season. From the beginning of the season to now, I traded away Steph, Randall, Claxton, Sengun, Ayton, Kawhi, Mike Conley, and I got back Sabonis, Ben Simmons, Middleton, Vucevic, Barnes, Brunson, Grant. Win. Let me take like an hour to sift this through my head real quick.
I'm gonna say first, like we love you guys, and like we are always going to be honest 100%. So when you ask us questions, no, we're not trying to butter your biscuit, tell you got a dub. Kanyan's doing the math right now while I'm stalling. I'm going to tell you my initial thoughts. Kanyan, I want you to do the calculations. My initial thoughts were I see Kawhi in there. I do like trying to trade away Kawhi, but Steph, Randall, I think Steph jumps out to me so drastically, but I think you got way better, your depth drastically
Yeah, I mean,
improved.
listen, Steph, it's tough, right? It's like Steph, ouch, he's having an incredible season. But when we're talking about 6 for 6 right now, it's less impactful, right? Because you're
Right.
now he's 1/6 of the deal. Um, you're getting rid of Claxton, underwhelming, depending on your draft capital of him if you drafted him. Claxton, underwhelming. Aiton, a little underwhelming, but coming to a little bit more. Kawhi, we already know what that's like. Sangoon, sure. Conley, sure. Randall, okay. But you like Sabonis, I love what he's doing. Ben Simmons is on the
Yeah.
rise. Middleton's going to come back and be good. I really like Vucevic. He's kind of an under the radar guy for me. Brunson's been incredible. Grant's been incredible.
Yeah.
Scotty Barnes will be solid. So the guys you're getting are like solid or on the rise or like already well established, and you've given up like a couple big misses, right? A couple like goose eggs, right? Kawhi's almost a goose egg. Claxton, a big miss as far as probably where you drafted him. Maybe not. Um, maybe it's balanced out by Steph, but I like it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, no, I think I appreciate you talking through that. Yeah, I think the easy answer is like, okay, like you got really good depth, you had to give up Steph, but I agree. I think that like the pieces that the scrubbier pieces you gave away, right, are closer to guys that are going to disappoint you game in and game out more consistently than everyone you got back. So yeah, no, I like it, and it's hard to like trades where you're giving away the best player in the deal. So I do want to call that out too. Um, just traded D'Lo and Bol Bol for OG and punt field goal percentage. Thoughts, man? We are D'Lo haters.
Yeah, I don't like D'Lo. Bol is nice, but like it'll drop off a little bit. I love OG,
Yeah,
so I
and
like it.
it's
I'm
yeah. I
hoping that
think
your waiver wire pickup is impactful though. Like
yeah,
get
but
it.
I think even with that, I think you could argue like I know OG is kind of the beneficiary of circumstance with some of the injuries around him,
Yeah.
but I think you could argue that like healthy Raptors, it'll
Oh, I
probably
mean,
be pretty close. You know?
yeah, he had probably his best year yet last year when they were pretty healthy.
Yeah,
So I'm not worried
15.
about OG's production when they're healthy. And plus, his biggest surprise so far has been on the defensive end, which it doesn't matter who's on the court. If he's guard, it's you
Yeah,
and me. He's guarding a man. He's getting you three
it's you
steals.
and
Like,
me.
yeah,
All
it's
right.
you and me.
Start, bench, cut. So let's just do this. Is just NBA. I assume this is not a fantasy. Giannis, Jokic, Embiid. If you cut Giannis, I'm unsubbing.
Yeah, I'm not cutting Giannis, so don't worry about that. Um, okay,
Starting.
we're just talking NBA. I'm gonna go start
No, let's
Giannis.
do. We're adding them to the Pistons. We're changing the rules. Who are
Well,
you adding
here's
to the
why I'm
Pistons?
throwing out of
Giannis,
that
Jokic,
first.
or Embiid?
Start Giannis, cut Embiid, bench Jokic. I know it's crazy injury wise.
Oh.
Injury wise, NBA manager injury wise. That's it. Pistons give me.
Okay.
I don't care. Like Giannis is just the best player. I think. Like
Yeah.
Giannis is the most irreplaceable guys. I don't. It's so hard for me to. But we don't really have the shooters to kind of surround. So maybe I wouldn't go Giannis for the Pistons because Pistons is a drastically different question.
Yeah. These like
Yeah,
start bench cuts are so funny because it's like
it's forcing someone to say something outlandish.
right.
It's
Cut Embiid, literally like a top 10 player in the NBA.
yeah, like, this guy just said he's cut Embiid, dude. He stinks. It's like, oh, I'm answering the question, man.
Uh, uh, all right, yeah, as a Timberwolves fan, the ball seems to be out of D'Lo's hands less and less every game. Yeah, I think it's just like, man, the emergence of Ant. Like, you just look at that team and it's like, why would I want the ball in D'Lo's hands? No offense, no flame.
What happens when you have a Buckeye on your team?
Dang, he found a way to make it a Buckeye slander.
Hey, we got a big weekend ahead of us. Picked up Jalen Williams for upside. I think he could give me 65% of what D'Lo gives me. Um,
So he's talking. This is the same league where he traded D'Lo and Bol for OG and punt field goal percentage.
oh,
So he's
gotcha.
saying he picked up
Okay.
Jalen Williams as kind of like the
Yeah, I
replacement.
do like Jalen Williams. I say this every day pretty much. I just get really fearful of that OKC rotation. They have so many guys, and there's just such a high split of usage in minutes amongst like their
Yeah,
crazy depth that
he's
I get a
he's
little
he
worried.
he's found his
I
way
think
into kind of like 20, 20, 23 Like he's getting some like 30-minute games. I know they've had some injuries, but yeah,
trending in the right direction.
yeah, for sure. I think he's one of those guys who's like definitely worth kind of the upside pickup in leagues. CB3 or KPJ rest of the season. I mean, just straight up points league, man.
You could say it. It's okay.
It's the unicorn.
What? Yeah, give me KPJ for longevity reasons.
Yeah. Wait, that phrase is the craziest phrase. KPJ for longevity reasons.
Pretty injured. And usage reasons, I guess, too.
Yeah, no, I think he's been. I don't expect KPJ to.
Why don't the Timberwolves pass to Gobert? Yeah, they got a lot of guys they could pass to. I mean, they have a very talented roster. I don't get paid enough to tell you how the Timberwolves should run their team. So if I did, I'd be coaching them.
Would it be not giving up 100 firsts for Rudy Gobert? Would that be if you were running the team? I will say I've gone on the record as saying I thought they were going to be one of those teams that wasn't going to get it done in the playoffs, but was going to be a top seed regular season, just because of what I thought Gobert was going to do immediately. But man, I don't know. We're Pistons fans, so I don't feel like we can flame.
Yeah, I don't want to dig into it. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's weird. We need to use the pick and roll more. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Gobert takes more shots. They would win more games for sure. If Gobert would score more points than the other team, you guys would definitely.
I mean, hey, what is he? He's always like a 68% field goal guy because it's just like dunks and layups. I love it.
No, I agree. I think he could probably be more aggressive.
Yeah.
Appreciate the input, of course, Andrew. Thank you for being here and chatting. Should I trade Jordan Poole? I'm in a 10-man cat league. Probably. I don't love Jordan Poole in a smaller league and category, honestly.
Yeah. You maybe find the guy who has like
threes.
Yeah, maybe find a guy who has like threes. You know, if you're not really like a threes team, find the guy who like looks like he's building a threes roster, and see because that's kind of the fun thing with cat leagues. I think is players are valued differently to different managers based on who they're building, and so you could find a guy who's like, oh, this guy's got Clay, and I know it's a weird example, but.
It feels like there's a lot more win-wins in cat leagues, right? Because you guys both have different goals, different ideas of how to construct your roster. But it's just like
different philosophies.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah,
as a major myself, I should have done that.
Dang.
Yeah.
NBA fantasy. All right. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Always fun to do these streams. Real quick before you go. I know you're like, Will's doing the outro. I'll hop out of here. Stay. Just for a moment.
Wait, just give me like 30 seconds, dude.
Just for a moment. And if you don't have an Underdog account, promo code Canyon, links in the description. We do player prop streams. It's a little funky for Thanksgiving. So I know we do this little spiel at the end. It's a little funky for Thanksgiving, but 2 p.m. Eastern time most days. When there are NBA games, we are doing sports betting player prop streams on the Flock Sports Betting channel. The link is right here.
Yeah.
Boop. As I say that, that's a link to the channel. Check it out. Link in the description if you don't have an Underdog account. NBA player props. Love talking those. And you can ask us fantasy questions in those streams too. I just need Gobert to give me 5 blocks per game for the rest of the season. I do think the block numbers will go up. I know it's kind of tough to like predict those, but man, Gobert, what is it? It was like 7 straight seasons with the Jazz. He averaged more than 2 blocks per game. I want to look it up. I know I'm like throwing out these stats that I like think I have memorized.
I don't think you're far off. If not,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It was 8 straight seasons with the Jazz.
Way to give yourself a layup.
My bad.
Sorry, I was more right than I thought.
It's even better than I said. No, I think, and it's like it's not drastic, but the difference between 1.5 and 2.3 is pretty drastic. That's almost a block per game. But all right, appreciate you guys. Much love.
Yep.
And we will see you in the next one. Like and subscribe.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Tell your
friends and family.
You're thankful for them.
Family. You're thankful for them. You love them. Have a happy holidays.
At
Thank you for watching.
Thanksgiving, be like, yo, how's your NBA fantasy league doing? You ever looking for new content to watch?
Yep.
I know two guys who want to get in your phone.
It's a good combo starter for the weird cousin that comes over.
It probably isn't, to be completely honest. It's probably the last thing that you'll have in common with the weird
What they're
cousin.
gonna bring up.
Yeah, that's true. All right. All right. One thing you're thankful for, Canyon, before we log off.
And the NBA or just in general?
Give me one for each.
I already said it. NBA parity. Love the new teams. The teams that were supposed to be bad being good. The
Jazz.
teams that are supposed to be good being meh. It's fun. Makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
In
Makes our jobs more
general,
fun.
in general, I am thankful for.
Wow, the parody thing is pretty quick.
Honestly, this is gonna be this is gonna be pretty lame. We live in Michigan. I'm thankful for sunny days already. Still
Aww.
sunny days. Not this crappy weather.
It's like 27 degrees outside.
And the World Cup, baby. Come on, USA!
World Cup.
Come on,
dude.
England.
We're about to log off, dude. What was that? What was that pen,
on.
man?
I could go on for 30 minutes in this.
Back.
It's like you don't even commit that in high school.
How? What are you?
He wasn't threatening.
What are you afraid of?
It was an emotional tackle. Had to have been.
Hey, I mean, Bale's a great player. He could flip that around.
Yeah. No, give him at least let him try that. Don't give him the free penalty.
It's all right. USA.
They'll do halves.
We'll get England, right?
Yeah, it's called soccer. It's soccer.
Soccer. All right. Nobody cared about the last 5 minutes of the stream. It's okay. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.